Picture this. You're floating through space, your ship humming with life, when suddenly darkness. When you wake up, you're no longer aboard your vessel but on a distant, artificial world where the rules of survival are dictated by bloodthirsty spectators. Humanity is nothing more than prey here, pitted against monstrous warriors in brutal gladiatorial battles. Every move could be your last. Every decision could mean life or death. This isn't just science fiction. It's a chilling glimpse into what happens when humanity becomes a pawn in the galaxy's deadliest game. Will you survive? Or will you become another trophy in their collection? Subscribe now to uncover the truth behind the alien arena. The stars had always been a source of wonder for humanity, a vast expanse that promised exploration, discovery, and perhaps even connection with other intelligent beings. But no one anticipated this. When the first distress signal reached Earth, it was dismissed as interference, a glitch in the system. Yet, as more ships vanished without explanation, the unsettling reality began to take shape. Somewhere beyond the edge of known space, something was hunting them. It wasn't until Captain Elias Voss's crew disappeared that humanity truly understood the horror awaiting them. They weren't merely taken, they were chosen. Captain Voss woke up disoriented, lying on cold metal flooring inside what appeared to be a holding cell. His head throbbed, and his body felt heavy, weighed down by unseen forces. The air smelled metallic, sharp, and unnatural, unlike anything he'd experienced during his years in deep space missions. As his vision cleared, he noticed others around him, humans, all clad in tattered uniforms, their faces etched with fear and confusion. None spoke, but their eyes told stories of terror. Above them, strange symbols flickered across translucent panels, pulsating with light. Whatever these creatures were, they were far beyond human comprehension. Time seemed to stretch endlessly as Voss tried to piece together what had happened. He remembered the routine patrol mission near the edge of charted space, the sudden jolt as something massive collided with their ship. And then, nothing. Now, surrounded by strangers who shared his fate, he realized the gravity of their situation. They were prisoners, captives of an unknown force, and the silence among them spoke volumes. Fear gripped each of them, a shared understanding that they were at the mercy of beings whose motives were as alien as their appearance. Time lost meaning in the confines of the cells. Hours blended into days, marked only by the eerie hum of machinery and the occasional arrival of towering figures cloaked in shimmering exosuits. These aliens moved with precision, their elongated limbs ending in razor-sharp claws that glinted under harsh artificial lights. They communicated through guttural growls and clicks, their language incomprehensible yet undeniably commanding. Each visit brought new captives, some human, others belonging to species so bizarre they defied imagination. Among them were insectoid creatures with iridescent shells, amphibious beings whose skin glistened like oil slicks, and hulking brutes covered in dense fur and scars. Despite their differences, all shared one fate: the arena. Rumors spread among the prisoners about the battles fought there, whispered tales of unimaginable violence and bloodshed. Some claimed the fights were broadcast across entire star systems, watched by billions who cheered at every kill. Others believed the arena served as a testing ground, where victors earned freedom while losers met gruesome ends. No one knew for certain, but the dread was palpable. Every prisoner lived in constant anticipation of their turn to step onto the sands of death. Voss observed the newcomers closely, noting how their demeanor shifted upon arrival. Initially, they carried traces of defiance, remnants of hope that they might escape. But within hours, that spark faded, replaced by resignation. The realization dawned on him. These creatures weren't just abducting them, they were breaking them, conditioning them for the horrors ahead. It was psychological warfare, designed to strip away any semblance of resistance before they even set foot in the arena. When the call came for Captain Voss, it arrived not with words but with action. The door to his cell slid open silently, revealing two armored guards flanking either side. Their presence was overwhelming, radiating power and menace. He hesitated for only a moment before stepping forward, knowing resistance would be futile. Behind him, the other captives watched silently, their expressions a mixture of pity and envy. To face the arena meant confronting the unknown, but staying behind meant waiting endlessly for the inevitable. The journey to the arena was a blur of sterile corridors and labyrinthine pathways, each turn leading deeper into the heart of the structure. Along the way, Voss caught glimpses of the artificial world outside, endless deserts stretching beneath twin suns, jagged mountains piercing crimson skies, and sprawling cities built from materials that seemed alive, shifting and pulsing with energy. It was beautiful in its strangeness, yet utterly alien. The thought crossed his mind that this place might not exist within normal space-time, existing instead as a construct designed solely for spectacle and slaughter. As they walked, Voss couldn't help but marvel at the sheer scale of the operation. The architecture suggested a civilization centuries ahead of humanity, with technology that blurred the line between organic and synthetic. Strange machines floated overhead, emitting soft hums as they monitored the environment. Even the air seemed charged, crackling with latent energy. Everything about this place screamed purpose, a meticulously crafted stage for the macabre theater unfolding within its walls. The arena itself was a marvel of engineering, a coliseum larger than any stadium on Earth. Its walls stretched upward into infinity, lined with glowing runes that cast eerie shadows across the sands below. Seats spiraled around the central pit, filled with countless spectators representing dozens of species. Their cheers echoed like thunder, a cacophony of sounds that vibrated through the very bones of those standing below. At the center stood Voss, surrounded by fellow fighters plucked from various corners of the galaxy. Each bore signs of previous battles, missing limbs, scorched flesh, and haunted eyes. Above them loomed the overseers, massive beings seated upon floating platforms adorned with intricate carvings. Their forms were obscured by flowing robes, but their eyes burned with intelligence and cruelty. These were the architects of the games, the ones who orchestrated the chaos unfolding below. With a wave of their hands, the battles began. Weapons materialized out of thin air, ranging from primitive blades to advanced energy cannons. There were no rules, no boundaries, only survival. Voss scanned the crowd, trying to make sense of the spectacle. Some spectators wore elaborate costumes, their appearances ranging from humanoid to grotesque. Others appeared to be projections, holograms flickering in and out of existence. Despite their diversity, they shared a common trait: excitement. The thrill of watching others fight for their lives seemed universal, transcending cultural and biological differences. For them, this was entertainment, a diversion from whatever mundane lives they led elsewhere. Voss's first opponent emerged from the shadows, a creature unlike anything he'd ever seen. Standing nearly 3 meters tall, its body was a fusion of organic tissue and mechanical enhancements. Spikes protruded from its shoulders, and its face was hidden behind a mask resembling molten lava. The crowd roared as the beast charged, moving with surprising speed despite its size. Instinct kicked in as Voss dodged, rolling to avoid a devastating swipe aimed at his midsection. The weapon assigned to him, a short sword forged from an unknown alloy, felt foreign in his grip, but desperation lent him strength. Their clash sent shockwaves rippling through the sand, grains exploding into the air as blade met claw. Voss quickly realized brute force wouldn't win this fight. His opponent was stronger, faster, and seemingly impervious to pain. Instead, he relied on agility, darting between attacks and searching for weaknesses. A glimmer of hope appeared when he noticed exposed wiring along the creature's left arm, a flaw in its otherwise impenetrable design. With a surge of adrenaline, he lunged, driving the sword deep into the vulnerable spot. The creature let out an ear-splitting screech, collapsing to its knees as sparks flew from the damaged limb. Voss didn't hesitate, delivering a final blow to ensure it wouldn't rise again. The crowd erupted into cheers, their voices blending into a deafening roar. For a brief moment, he allowed himself to feel relief, but it was short-lived. Another opponent was already stepping forward, ready to take its fallen comrade's place. The second challenger was a humanoid figure encased in crystalline armor that refracted light into dazzling patterns. Its movements were fluid, almost hypnotic, making it difficult to predict its next attack. Voss barely had time to recover before the battle commenced. This opponent fought with a staff crackling with electrical energy, forcing him to stay on the defensive. Sparks flew as metal clashed against crystal, each strike reverberating through the arena. Fatigue began to creep in, his muscles screaming in protest after hours of continuous fighting. But surrender wasn't an option, not here, not now. Summoning every ounce of willpower, Voss feigned a stumble, luring the armored warrior closer. When the staff swung downward, he sidestepped and delivered a powerful kick to the back of its knee joint. The armor shattered, revealing soft tissue beneath. One swift thrust of the sword ended the fight, earning him another fleeting reprieve. As he caught his breath, Voss took stock of his surroundings. Bodies littered the arena floor, some still twitching as life drained from them. The spectacle continued unabated, the crowd reveling in the carnage. It was a grim reminder of why he fought, not for glory or recognition, but simply to live another day. Between bouts, medical drones descended to patch up the survivors, sealing wounds with synthetic flesh and injecting stimulants to keep them upright. The process was painful, invasive, and impersonal, reminding Voss that he was nothing more than a pawn in this grand spectacle. Around him, Other fighters exchanged wary glances, their camaraderie born of shared suffering rather than trust. Some whispered strategies, pooling knowledge gained from past encounters. Others remained silent, conserving energy for the battles ahead. As the day wore on, the challenges grew increasingly difficult. Each new opponent was more formidable than the last, pushing Voss to his limits and beyond. Yet, amidst the carnage, a spark of defiance ignited within him. He refused to die here, to let these monsters strip away his dignity and humanity. If he had to fight, he would do so on his own terms, using every trick, tactic, and ounce of ingenuity to outlast the competition. Night fell, or what passed for night in this artificial realm, and still the games continued. Floodlights illuminated the arena, casting long shadows that danced across the sands. Spectators remained enthralled, their enthusiasm unwavering despite the mounting casualties. For them, this was entertainment, a diversion from whatever mundane lives they led elsewhere. But for Voss and the others, it was a nightmare made real, a relentless cycle of blood and sweat with no end in sight. His next adversary proved particularly cunning, a serpentine creature capable of slithering through the sand like water. Its strikes came without warning, venomous fangs snapping shut mere inches from his face. Voss countered by using his environment, kicking up clouds of dust to obscure its vision and create openings for counterattacks. Patience became his greatest ally, allowing him to wait for the perfect moment to strike. When it finally came, he drove the sword straight through the serpent's neck, silencing its hissing cries forever. By the time dawn broke over the artificial horizon, fewer than half the original fighters remained standing. Bodies littered the arena floor, some human, others alien, all bearing testament to the brutality of the preceding hours. Voss surveyed the carnage with a mixture of sorrow and resolve. He hadn't asked for this, hadn't wanted to become a killer, yet circumstances had forced his hand. Survival demanded sacrifice, and he intended to make the most of every opportunity granted to him. A sudden hush fell over the crowd as a new figure entered the fray. Unlike the others, this one carried an aura of authority, its presence commanding respect and fear in equal measure. Clad in golden armor adorned with ornate engravings, it moved with deliberate grace, each step echoing like a drumbeat. This was no ordinary warrior, it was a champion, undefeated in countless battles. And now, it sought to add Voss's name to its list of conquests. The champion wasted no time, launching a flurry of attacks that tested Voss's reflexes to their absolute limit. Its weapon, a curved blade humming with energy, sliced through the air with lethal precision. Parrying blow after blow, Voss struggled to find footing, his arms trembling under the strain. The audience leaned forward, enraptured by the spectacle unfolding before them. Cheers erupted whenever the champion landed a hit, jeers filling the void when Voss managed to evade. Desperation fueled his actions as he searched for a weakness in the seemingly invincible foe. Then he saw it, a faint seam running along the armor's chest plate, likely a hinge point for maintenance. Focusing all his attention on that spot, he baited the champion into an overextended swing, leaving its torso momentarily exposed. Seizing the chance, he plunged the sword upward, feeling it pierce through metal and flesh alike. The champion staggered, disbelief flashing across its face before collapsing in a heap. Victory brought no relief, only exhaustion. Voss sank to his knees, breathing heavily as the weight of his actions settled over him. Around him, the remaining fighters exchanged cautious nods, acknowledging the unspoken bond forged through shared trauma. Though enemies moments ago, they now stood united in their determination to survive. The overseers observed silently, their expressions unreadable beneath their veils. Would they grant mercy, or demand further bloodshed? Before answers could come, the arena transformed once again. Platforms rose from the ground, carrying weapons and supplies previously unavailable. It seemed the games weren't over, not entirely. Now, teams would form, alliances would shift, and the true test of strategy would begin. Cooperation might prove the key to enduring this hellish ordeal. Strategizing proved challenging, given the lack of communication tools and the inherent mistrust among participants. Still, basic gestures sufficed to convey intentions. Together, the survivors devised plans, assigning roles based on individual strengths. Voss took charge naturally, his leadership skills honed through years of military service. Under his guidance, they prepared for whatever horrors awaited them next. The following rounds introduced environmental hazards, collapsing structures, toxic gas clouds, and swarms of predatory drones. Navigating these dangers required quick thinking and precise coordination, qualities the group gradually developed through trial and error. Losses mounted, but so did victories, bolstering morale and strengthening bonds. As days turned into weeks, rumors spread of a final challenge awaiting those who endured long enough. Whispers spoke of a portal leading off-world, promising escape for whoever claimed ultimate victory. Whether true or fabricated by the overseers to maintain motivation, the idea sparked renewed determination. Voss clung to it as a lifeline, fueling his resolve to push forward despite mounting odds. Alliances fractured and reformed as tensions ran high. Betrayals occurred, often resulting in fatal consequences. Yet, through it all, Voss remained steadfast, refusing to succumb to despair. His goal extended beyond personal survival. He vowed to expose the truth behind the arena, to ensure no one else suffered as he had. The climactic battle arrived unexpectedly, announced by a deafening roar that shook the very foundations of the arena. Emerging from the shadows came a monstrosity unlike anything seen before, a hybrid of machine and organism. Its body bristling with weapons and appendages. Multiple heads scanned the battlefield, each eye glowing with malevolent intent. This was the final test, the culmination of everything endured thus far. United, the remaining fighters launched a coordinated assault, targeting weak points identified during reconnaissance phases. Explosions rocked the arena as projectiles struck home, tearing chunks from the behemoth's frame. Despite their efforts, the creature retaliated fiercely, scattering combatants and inflicting heavy casualties. Only sheer tenacity kept them going, driven by the promise of freedom. In the end, it was Voss who delivered the killing blow, plunging a makeshift spear directly into the monster's core. As it crumbled, the arena dissolved around them, replaced by a serene landscape bathed in sunlight. Before them stood the portal, shimmering invitingly. One by one, the survivors stepped through, leaving behind the horrors they'd endured. Though free, Voss couldn't shake the memories haunting him. Determined to prevent future abductions, he dedicated himself to exposing the arena's existence, vowing to rally support against those responsible. Humanity needed to know the dangers lurking beyond the stars and prepare accordingly. Subscribe now to follow Captain Voss's journey and discover whether humanity can rise to meet the challenges of the cosmos.